Welcome, brothers and sisters. My name is Eros and I am the Trollmaker. Today we will take in consideration the festivity of Samhain at a more advanced level. So don't be scared if you don't catch everything first time, and please do remember to first watch the previous videos. Then, in this festivity, we find a strong correlation to the festivity itself and the conjunction between the dark feminine, if you want, the importance of death, and the dark masculine. In this case, best represented in the rigor of Saturn, so the discipline to dwell in the underworlds and to recover precious information and precious knowledge which is lost in the night. Also, at the same time, we find a logic of overlapping dimensions in this case. And we also find similar examples in different traditions. For example, in the Vodun, beside the world of the spirits, the kingdom of the Loas, we also find the Gede, with our plane all overlapped all together. But also in the Celtic tradition, we find an overlapping of dimensions in the tree of life itself, in Yggdrasil itself. Especially, we are trying to walk in this time frame with the realm of Helheim. But of course, this will be true also in our tradition, walking in confined and confining realms beyond the veil. So, there's a tendency and a special opportunity in this season to walk with the dead, especially if we understand we are walking with psychic impressions, with psychic residual structures brought back by our internal light shining on them and in them, of course. So, also, if you decide to do this kind of advanced walking, please be careful, because you will need protection when you venture in the realms of the dead, protection from predator spirits, because of course the farthest we travel, the more likely we are to encounter them. Especially if we travel in the outside part of the world behind the veil, beyond the veil, we risk to encounter predator moths. And also, of course, always remember to practice grounding, especially when you walk with the dead. So when you get too close to death, because like attracts like. So you don't to be too close to death without grounding. I'm not talking about the most holy one, the great mistress of death, of course, but we still need to ground to be able to do that work and survive that work. Then, of course, we also clearly see that in this period we find a very subtle veil. So we need to remember to never call upon spirits lightly. We always want to have a reason why we are calling them forth. And we don't want to fall in an excess of self-confidence, especially, forgive me, if we are advanced. So if we really trust our method, we need to always have a method in place. We need to always have a plan in place, and we need to always follow an etiquette when we are talking with spirits, especially stranger spirits. And these teachings, all of them come to us from the rigor of Satan discipline. Now, the walking that I recommend for this festivity, if you're advanced, is an invoking Satan through the major, if you want, ritual of the hexagram. And we are clearly trying to channel the power of Satan into our visualization of pushing our limitations forward and pushing beyond our limitations. And of course, also our self-imposed limits. In a sense, you may even say that through this operation we are peering into the abyss, trying to watch and understand the darkness outside of our comfort zone, to explore these darkness, these night, through the lantern of our lights. And of course, following these invoking Satan, maybe in the next day, you want to perform a banishing Satan. First of all, for grounding, of course, but also to reject negative influences, grounding yourself and pushing your limits forward. Then, a very, very simplified version of this working, if you are not at the level to perform an hexagram ritual, could be an invoking earth, clearly visualizing to recognize the place, and introspecting, of course, to recognize the place in life that we are at in these moments. And in a sense, recognizing our place, our status, will also allow us to look forward at the path that we are going to pursue. Followed, of course, maybe in the next day, from a banishing earth pentagram. So, grounding ourselves again and pushing aside obstacles from the path that we have chosen. In an alchemical perspective, we may say that this season is best, this festivity, forgive me, is best represented in the act of washing away impurities from the result of the reaction, from the sulfur, to then use the sulfur that we have obtained as a new salt for a future reaction coming up, of course, next year, in the next turn of the wheel. Then, from an equilibrium perspective, we find the dark masculine and the dark feminine in conjunction, in balance. This allows for opened gates in this festivity, and for us to learn those severe teachings of the darkness and to explore this darkness to recover knowledge, as we said before. For my pagan brothers and sisters, I suggest that you walk with dark goddesses and gods to obtain teachings at your level, not only as we sometimes call upon some of the gods to solve our urgencies, solve our problems. We want, in this case, to obtain teachings. So we want to meditate and contemplate these goddesses and gods. And we want to contemplate also the darker realms in which they dwell in. And in a sense, we are trying to dig and explore beneath the roots of Yggdrasil. For my sisters and brothers with a more hermetic approach, we find a very similar approach to the pagan one. So we want to walk with the dark gods and goddesses and obscure spirits to obtain teachings and to consider the difficulties we are facing, to better solve them through the teachings. Of course, in this case, we are also going to use shadow work to ask for guidance with their guidance. For Christian brothers and sisters, we at this level want to reflect on the balance of reality. For example, we want to reflect into deep concept, just like the creation of Lucifer in the Christian tradition, seen as the evil one, the betrayer, the traitor, from an omniscient God. And this should bring us to reflect in the necessary balance of different forces to allow reality itself to exist. If we are not ready to this kind of working, we should maybe perform a contemplation, a meditation of, for example, Jesus going toward the cross and having doubts, but proceeding forward to his destiny, if you want to say destiny, even if it was evitable. Determination incarnated. Now, for sisters and brothers of the Silver Iris, our motto in this period should be: before impending darkness we rise. So this is the perfect time to use our arsenal of techniques to cleanse, protect, dive into ourselves through introspection or in any way that you have the knowledge to do so. In a sense, we may even want to perform, in this case, bindings towards ourselves. For example, binding myself to success. It's counterintuitive. It's sort of a self-course, but used in the right way. For brothers and sisters of the Crimson Cloak, in this period, our motto should be: into profound darkness we dive, we thrive. So, we are at the apex of power. We have an outstanding opportunity to push ourselves forward using the maximum moment of power. Use your power, but also your introspection to push yourself toward evolution of yourself and of your technique in your path. And always remember that one of our stronger techniques that we have forged is the technique of the Black Sun. So remember that the technique of the Black Sun, first of all, annihilates ego. Then, for sisters and brothers of the path of the dreamer, our motto in this period should be: toward mysterious darkness we dive. So use the power, of course, use all of your powers to enforce your meditation, your astral travel, and using these amazing moments of the gates opening, also rely on the power of your fellow magician as an anchor for deeper dives into the astral realms, and study the dark realms using this technique to never get lost. Now I'm talking for everybody. For our meditation, in a sense, we may want to recover the night, recover the darkness. So I suggest that you try while being careful, because these are more advanced meditation, you may want to try to meditate in complete darkness or blindfolded, to explore the obscurity that resides within yourselves and outside of you, without letting that darkness in. You will only allow the information that you can cleanse with your inner light, the information that you can individuate and recognize, holding figuratively your lantern. So the knowledge made clear by your inner light while you are exploring darkness. I know this has been a complex one, a very complex one, so I deeply honor you if you got until this point. As always, I immensely thank you for your kind attention, and may eternal light always shine